It's also important to move towards self-forgiveness because holding on to the pain isn't doing anything for you or anyone else. Welcome to From Betrayal to Breakthrough. I'm Dr. Debi Silver, and here is a dose of Dr. Debi. Why do we sabotage our relationships? It's so common to sabotage ourselves in relationships. My first TEDx talks, I did two. My first one, Stop Sabotaging Yourself, is all about this topic. But I came up with 6 reasons. There are more, but here are 6 reasons why we do this. Number 1, we often do this because there's something we may not be willing to feel or face. And by sabotaging the relationship, we don't have to look at what we're unwilling to or not ready to see. So by just sabotaging it, we just keep it at bay. We don't have to look, we don't have to think. Number 2, we can sabotage in a relationship because old beliefs come up that we're not worthy, not lovable, not deserving of a healthy, happy relationship, and we'll do just about anything to prove ourselves right. So if we're subconsciously thinking, I don't deserve a healthy relationship, we'll sabotage it. Your mind wants to prove you right all the time. So if that is the underlying belief, it's not what you outwardly think, it's what's behind it. If what's behind it is, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, I'm not deserving, well, then your mind will do anything to prove you're right. Like, okay, if that's what you insist on, that's what we'll do. Number 3, we can sabotage a relationship out of guilt. If we hurt someone in the past and haven't processed and worked through it, sabotaging a relationship is a way of punishing ourselves for the past. I see this in people who betrayed someone they love. They may have moved on from the relationship, but the betrayer hasn't done the work to heal themselves. When they work through what led to the actions, how to process that, how to heal it, how to make sure they never choose those same behaviors, they can make sense out of it. From there, they can do all they can to fix it. That doesn't mean the person they hurt will be willing to listen. The person may not even be alive. It's still important to pay it forward in whatever way you can. Maybe it's to prevent others from choosing the same path. Maybe it's a way to heal your shame and guilt. It's also important to move towards self-forgiveness because holding on to the pain isn't doing anything for you or anyone else. I see this so often with people who've betrayed. They just cannot get past the idea that this is what they've done, that this is who they were, and will sabotage future relationships because that's all that work hasn't been done, hasn't been processed. Number 4, we can sabotage a relationship because on some level, we know it's not a fit, but don't know how to say that, or we feel too scared to speak up about it. So instead, we may do things to slowly chip away at the relationship. This way, when the breakup happens, we can chalk it up to it just not working out and possibly place the blame on the other person instead of taking responsibility for the breakup. So instead of being direct and speaking up, we can just slowly do things that sabotage it. So this way, it's their decision, or it's, what they wanted or what they decided, and we don't have to take responsibility. Number 5, we can sabotage ourselves in a relationship because we're trying to get someone to prove their love. If deep down, I know this one sounds crazy, stay with me. If deep down we don't believe we're lovable or worthy of love, we may go to great lengths to get someone to prove it in order to convince ourselves that yes, we are in fact lovable. I remember having a client and she said she wanted to lose weight, but there's always, in studying human behavior for over 30 years, I know there's usually so much more going on than just the food. Well, in her scenario, she kept the weight on almost as a way of having her husband prove, yes, I love you even with the weight on, as if the way she looked was the only criteria that their love was based on. But it was like a passive aggressive way of talking back, of just having him prove, like, okay, if you really love me, you'll love me with the weight on. I mean, it was so much of that. And of course, she didn't like it when I pointed that out to her, but that's the first step to change. 6, We can sabotage a relationship so we have something else to blame or criticize and judge instead of ourselves. Here's another deep one. Stay with me on this one. This is so subtle, but it's a big one. For example, if you break up with someone, you can blame your pain and hurt on the relationship, so you don't have to look at or deal with some deep pain and hurt of unprocessed trauma, for example. So you can blame what's really going on. You can blame it on the relationship so that, well, that's why I'm in so much pain, and avoiding taking a look at what may be really the cause of your pain, that deep unprocessed trauma or something like that. There are so many reasons why we sabotage in a relationship. And while it's mostly for our protection, there are so many reasons why we do it. If you're self-sabotaging, especially after the shattering of trust and betrayal, whether you're the betrayed or the betrayer, we can help. Go to the PBT, as in post-betrayal transformation, thepbtinstitute.com, and let's get you healed, happy, confident, and moving forward. I'll see you next time.